All right, all right, all right. Welcome to this special edition of Warrior Week, Parables from the Pit. My guest, mi amigo, my friend, Isaiah Melendez. We're going to get into the story of Isaiah Melendez, and this is one fucking episode that you don't want to miss. Sit back, relax, and anticipate the story of the soldier, of the man known as Isaiah Melendez.
That's who you are!
All right, welcome to the studio. It's been a while.
Yes.
We tried to coordinate this for a while, and it's just happening now. We are in the middle of a Warrior Week, Warrior Week 53 specifically.
53.
It's day 2. Almost going to, we're almost going to dinner now. Guys are getting a break, and you and I find ourselves here.
Finally. Voice is shot.
Yeah, voice is shot. But I couldn't find a better timing than now to do this podcast. And part of this is like, really, man, like it just, the window is open for you to talk about your story. Your brave story is a story to be told. And honestly, like this, like recording in the next 20, 30 minutes or whatever the fuck it's going to take, this will be an asset remaining for your boys.
Yeah.
Like, I want them to grow up and listen to their first podcast, and this is the one that they're going to listen to. And what a beautiful gift that would be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go ahead and let's just figure out, dude, you came into Warrior Week 27.
Yeah.
You came back to 48. You're a certified trainer of Warrior Week. You got certification done. You are inside of the game of Warrior Week as one of the Kingdom coaches. You have been the coach for the front line of Warrior, this experience that we have called the King's Kit.
Yep.
You have led over 1,000 guys inside of that experience between King's Kit 5, 6, and 7. And you are with me in Warrior Week now, leading 14 guys as we speak currently. So talk to me. How did it all started for you? Like what made you look at what Warrior may have for you, and inside of that, what enabled the discovery of the path that you're on today, man?
Man, like I was just fucked up, man. Like my life was not working. Like period. Like everything was fucking crumbling apart between my marriage, my fucking wife, just everything. Every kind of identity that I had known at that time was like, dude, I didn't even know who the fuck I was anymore, man. It was like this person, this man who I knew, Sergeant Melendez, Staff Sergeant Melendez was gone. And so the man I was living with, man, I thought, dude, like, who the fuck is this guy? I hate this guy.
So let's talk about that. How long you were in the Army?
8 years.
8 years. And obviously you were deployed multiple times.
Yep.
How many times?
2 times to Iraq, once to Afghanistan.
So 2 times Iraq, 1 times Afghanistan. We're going to talk about some of that. But from what age to what age?
I came in at 17, man.
Okay,
17,
and all the way to 25?
25, yeah.
Then at 25, what age you got married?
I got married at 23.
23 got married. What age you had your firstborn?
27.
27.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you get married at 23. Your wife kind of like lives the wife of a soldier for 2 years.
Yeah.
25, you come home. I don't know why you come home, or it's just because, whatever. You're home, right?
No, and here's the thing, man. Like, it's crazy. Like, 25, I turned down the promotion, for Sergeant First Class because, like, dude, I already knew I was getting out, and I turned down the promotion like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, people telling me to get out, like, some of the soldiers that I work with at the same rank, some of them even lower rank, are E8s right now, which is first sergeant or master sergeant.
Yeah.
And like, for someone to leave, at that age, and at that rank, and at that speed was like unheard of, man. So like so like me leaving was like fucking unheard of. Like it was crazy. Everyone said I was crazy.
What made you leave?
Dude, there was something pulling me. Like I fucking remember. I was like, okay, I know, and I see this. Everything fucking makes sense. You know, I'm 32. Actually, I'm 32 today.
Oh shit! It's your birthday.
Yeah, it's my birthday.
Holy balls!
So I'm 32 today.
No wonder why you're fucking here.
Yeah, yeah. In 5 more years, I would have retired from the army. At least to start with that. And nothing made sense for me to go and leave. Nothing for me to leave made
So you
absolutely no
were
sense.
okay. Let's roll back and let's understand this. And so you were pulled by something.
Yeah.
At that time, 7 years back, you couldn't describe how it is, but it's a feeling. Today, you know, this is something called the voice. This is what you feel every day, right?
Right.
But at that time, you're just being pulled, right?
Right.
So 25, you come home, and life begins. But despite the fact that you were pulled, in that space, you lose your identity. Because 8 years of being trained and 8 years of having structure and discipline and integrity, now trying to fit all that in the civilian world, very tough.
Oh, fucking dude. Like they say, right? A man's mind fully develops at the age of 25.
Yeah.
So for me to be 17 and to be 18 years old when I first deploy,
Yes.
and then be 20 years old when I deploy again, and then 23, when I deploy again, like, dude, like that's all I had known. Like, to be a man was ingrained in the army.
Yes, that is true.
That's all I knew.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? So like coming out, it was like, what's a man? Who is a man? Who am I? I don't fucking know. All I know is I have to get out. It doesn't fucking make sense. On paper, it doesn't make sense. But I know that there's something out there for me. And I get out, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what am I doing here?
No guidance.
No guidance.
No structure. At best is your intuition and, let's say, your free will to go after things that are out there.
Yeah.
But these are nice words to say. Bottom line is, if you are conditioned to operate in a certain way, and if you're not operating anymore, then it's pretty fucking hard to move forward. I mean, if you're not operating, you're not moving.
Yeah.
And if you're not moving, there's not one word of motivation that's going to make you move.
Absolutely, yeah.
And people think that you can motivate men like you. That shit doesn't happen.
No, doesn't make sense. Because guess what? It fucking goes away. You realize it.
And so recently, it's been for the past 5 years, I witnessed a lot of motivational speakers coming out, trying to motivate men from the military. The angle that they take is that they have been in the military. And they use that angle in order to motivate and say, well, hey, we dig ourselves out. This is what we did. You can do it too. It's not easy.
Yeah.
There's no blueprint. There's just a conversation. And hey, bless their heart. Maybe they're trying to communicate, but it's not fucking working. People come in, sit this big ass conferences, and they hear them talk on the stage, and there's this feeling of false hope that is created. And they leave with that, and then it disappears, it vanishes. Only to come back 6 months later where they're exactly in the same spot, paying another couple of $100 to listen to the same guys talking about the same shit that 6 months ago made them feel good. See what I'm saying?
Man, I had coaches tell me all the time, hey, you've been to combat. You've been to war. Like, you have fought for your country. Like, this is, if you've done that, this isn't hard. Like, this isn't hard. But when I found myself, like, not working or not doing the right thing or what I believed to be the right thing over and over and over again, it was like, what the fuck am I? Like, I don't get it. I'm fucking broke. I'm broke.
This is bullshit. Because if you look at an A1 track and field runner, right? The best runner in the world. He comes in and he smashes running. Or even better, fuck that. You look at it at the best, like somebody like Rich Froning or like CrossFit fucking athlete, 4 times champion of the world. And like the guy, you throw any fucking fitness at him and he smashes it, right? You sit there and you look at Rich Froning and you're like, bro, you've done it all.
Right.
You should be able to smash anything that's in front of you. You put that motherfucker in a soccer field, he is no good. You got a guy 3 times bigger than him, slightly more skilled, that actually going to make fun of him over and over and over and over. Is going to beat him up in the field.
Yeah.
Because it's just different skills.
Different. Completely new territory.
And it requires Rich Froning to come up and play soccer, show up in practice, learn the skills, but then willing to actually try a different sport. Here's the problem. Most men stick in the same fucking box.
Yeah.
They don't go in other people's box. Why? Because that little box that they've created for themselves always makes them win. Take Ironman athletes. Take fucking CrossFit athletes. Invite them to the soccer field. Just giving a fucking example. Over and over, they'll refuse to come because they know they won't win. But the beauty of it is that if they give themselves a chance, they could actually acquire the skills faster.
Yeah.
And they could whoop some fucking ass because of the athletic backgrounds they have.
And the conditioning.
And the fucking conditioning.
From before.
But the problem is they don't allow them, like they don't go in other people's box. And that is a fucking problem. So coming back to you, it's not like you don't want to go in other people's box. You're more than willing to go in other people's box. It's like no one is presenting a fucking box to you.
Yeah.
People are just talking about an idea. People are just reminding you how good you were in your box.
Yeah.
And they're saying, bro, you fucking smash and dominate your box. You can go in any box and smash it. They don't even understand the concept of box.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're like, you can go anywhere. And that's just too generic. You're wondering in generalities.
Mm-hmm.
And people are actually wondering, how is it fucking possible that this guy is a beast, but then he keeps spending all his time in the fucking basement?
Yeah.
So talk to me about that, man.
Like, that's it right there. Like, that is it right there. Like, how do I... taking somebody, Rich Froning, and putting him into a soccer field, it's like, but he has absolutely no God. He doesn't even know he's in a soccer field. But that's what it was like for me.
It's so true.
It was like I had no idea. When I got out, it was like, how do civilians talk? And it sounds crazy, but for me, I didn't understand how you communicate, how civilians communicate. I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? So like, dude, like I had to work 3 times harder, on just even talking to people,
Shit.
So, but what was happening was I was trying to learn this on my own because I had coaches telling me, hey, you have to go and do this. Hey, you have to go and do that. Hey, you have to go and do this. And so I was like, okay. I kept on doing it. But the reality was I was playing their game their way, and I wasn't taking the tools that I had, the uniqueness about me that I had in the military, and applying that to life. So it was like I would come in, I would talk, but what was happening was when I had to learn to talk, to speak, and to look at someone a certain way, to dress a certain way, because I was afraid. And I remember a coach, I was growing a beard out, man, because you can't, in the Army.
Yeah.
Now, growing a beard, like before it was like really, really popular.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, he says, you need to go and shave. You need to cut. You need to cut it. He's like, if you have it, you look kind of like aggressive. And so I listened to him and I told him, because I figured because the guy made a lot of money, because the guy had done a lot of the things that I thought that I had wanted to do.
Yeah.
I began to go and follow this guy's footsteps.
Yeah.
And like, okay, he's a decent guy. He's a nice guy. But I was trying to follow him and I had lost myself. I became him.
Yeah.
A younger version of him.
Yeah.
And in that process, Staff Sergeant Melendez was almost dead.
And that's what happens, is that because we don't even know we're in a soccer field, we start borrowing any Tom, Dick, and Harry's identity just so we can say we belong somewhere. Just so we can name it that it's a field. We don't even know what the name of the game is. We don't know it's soccer. We don't know that there's a ball. We don't know how many fucking players. We don't know how it's played. But so we attach ourselves to any Tom, Dick, and Harry that shows up. And that's called experience.
Yeah.
right? It's another kind of war when you come out and you recognize that some of these people are fucking clueless. Are fucking clueless about what is happening on the other side of the world. And that's okay. And that's okay because I'm fucking clueless on this side. And so the feeling that you were experiencing was lost, right? And you come across Warrior, right? What is it that kind of resonated with you with Warrior and like hit you right in the fucking face?
There was a beauty in just how natural everything happened. It made zero sense. It made zero sense for me to like accept what you guys were saying. Like for what you guys were saying made no sense at all, but it felt right. And it was the same feeling that I had felt whenever I got out of the Army, you know, and it was like, I know that this is right. I know that this is direction, but man, like my mind is just like, I can't process this right now, but I know that this is what I have been looking for.
Yes.
I had been waiting this time for me to get out, you know, 5 years or 4 or 5 years later after I got out of the Army, I was like, okay, here it is. Like I had to wait those 4 or 5 years and learn and get that experience, like you said, for me to like truly understand and be open. I was broke. I was broken down. Like, man, like even my body was physically, I was 25 pounds lighter, not by choice, but because I was fucking dying inside, man. Like, you know, I was broken down, and I was broken down to a point to where I could hear what you guys have to say.
So you came into Warrior Week 27 known as one of the most intense Warrior Weeks of all time. It was, we went all night. We went all night, and that created a spark in you. And you were in a place, you were not financially in a place that was easy. But it's crazy because we believed in you.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter what you had. It didn't matter, like, the investment that was required for you to be inside of the program. It just didn't fucking matter because you knew that you found a place that you belonged.
Yeah.
And I remember you and I specifically talking about it. It's like, bro, I'm not fucking going anywhere. This is where I am. And if I, it was the no matter what I have to do attitude.
Yeah.
And so we embraced that attitude, right? And we enabled that man. And you came in and you did the work and you participated and you paid the piper. You know, you didn't have the money then, and then you paid out over time, and you stayed by your fucking commitment.
Yeah.
Where most men would have been tempted to just, okay, I got what I needed, it's pretty good, so now I go and I build, and you know, I'll be appreciative to these guys. No, man, you kept paying the duties, you know? When the money came in, you know, half of it went to your rent, half of it came here. It's like you're paying the fucking piper.
Yeah.
And so that integrity built and built and built. And then when the certified trainer program opened, you had shared to me at Warrior Week 27 that you would want to be part of this.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And
I remember what I told you.
Yeah.
Like exactly. I said, I know this sounds crazy, but I know
this is for me.
This is for me, and I will be there.
Yes,
with you.
I remember that.
And here we are.
Yeah. So 3 years ago, you said that after 48 hours. Like you knew that this is the kind of place where you have all the tools to operate by. Yes, there's training ground to gain skills, but you have found the soccer field. Because for the first time ever, someone has told you, here's the game, here's how it's played, here's how many players are there, requires a fucking ball, and motherfucker requires you to fucking show up. And you have to have a position, and you got to do good at that position, right? So what it was just a series of instruction, which is what you're familiar with anyway.
Yeah.
You took the instruction and you executed, and you started seeing changes.
Yeah.
You started seeing changes in the way you were treating your wife. You started seeing changes in the man that was showing our home. You started seeing changes in the way you operated and started making money.
Mm-hmm.
You started gaining more and more confidence, and you rised. Knowledge started integrating inside of your skills, both from military and as well as new skills that you've gained. And you started helping people. Big contracts came across.
Yeah.
And you started leading a tons of people. And there was a battle of identity inside that once again, the direction you were going, although from perspective of making money for home was working, but there was a calling bigger than you that was saying once again for the second time,
Yeah.
there was something pulling you.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Made no sense. No sense. Made no sense at all. I like that, and that's how I knew this time, because I could identify it. It's like, okay, I feel this. This is that familiar feeling again, and it like this is gonna be fucking crazy, like because it was like fuck, I don't want to do that. I finally got to a place to where I could build some good money up. I finally got to a place to where
You have a status.
I have a status. I've done the
Money,
work.
people respect you. You're leading people in organizations.
Yeah.
This is like everything you wanted.
Yeah, I had people wanting to come to me, dude, like just giving me like putting contracts that I never thought people would want. Like with with other companies
Yes.
and everything. Dude, it was like insane. And right at that time that I had made that decision, I said, okay, I have to do this though, because I know that my life depends on it. I know that my sons depend on it, and just the rest of my life really, really depends on me doing something with purpose.
So then, certified trainer came up as an option. You opted in right away, and the training began. And you got trained on the ways and the methodologies of the Warriors Way and to become a teacher and a trainer inside of that game. And it did require you to come back to Warrior Week.
Oh man.
And that was the pivoting point. Second day on the mountain,
Oh.
you've got all the clarity and what is this pull that has happened to you twice now. So talk to us about that, bro.
So this pull was a series of lead up. Joining the Army was something I always wanted to do, but it was really because I knew I was called to go and lead and to lead men. And so before the Army, it was the church, Before the church, it was like sports or anything. And it was like there was always something missing, right? Like there was always something like, okay, this isn't it, but I needed to go there. This isn't it. Okay, but I needed to go there. This isn't it, but I needed to go there. And I got the message, when I was young, and I know this message and I remember it was, you are called to go and lead, right? And when we did the hand of God evolution, like it was very clear, and he said, are you ready now? Because in my life, it was always the ups and downs because I consciously said, no, no, I'll go do the Army. I mean, God, you can't have me do something more, more tough than that, more challenging than that, to lead men into battle and then to lead them out back to their families. There can't be anything like that. But in reality, like these men are fighting this war, coming back, like not just them, but everyone, me, you, the people all around us. Like we fight the war within, and that was the battle that I needed to take charge in. Not in the battle with making the money, not in the battle of going to fight a war that we don't understand really, right? None of that. It was to fight the actual battle of home. And in that time, he says, are you ready? And I waited. I wanted to say no. And that's why it took me so long. But I couldn't run anymore. Like I couldn't run. It's tiring. And so I said, all right, I'm willing. And that's where he said, your will is my command.
And two days later, we had a conversation on the cliff, you and I. And it was very clear that there are a few of us.
Yeah.
And we proudly call ourselves the light workers. We bring light. That's what we do. And for a few of you guys that are listening right now, this podcast is not the most popular podcast, but it's aiming at the right audience. Those that actually listen to this every week, tune in to this podcast. When there's so many other varieties of podcasts, when there's so many other options for you to listen to? So many other more qualified men that would talk about business and marketing and how to make money and how to love your wife and all kind of motivational shit that is going on right now. So many podcasts are so fucking popular because the motivation is so fucking amazing that gives people this fucking temporary hard on. Here, we just tell the story differently. Here, we bring a few spoken words to a man that directly came from the man above. And in this space, if these words are actually touching your heart and they're making your heart warm, know that he's near. Know that he's near. Because if these words, not mine, not Isaiah's, but what you're hearing right now, if this does not warm your heart, then I don't know what would. I don't know what would. Your will is my command. That was told to Isaiah. That was also told to me at once. And I'm certain that was also told to you if you feel the warmness in your heart right now. That's it. That's what pulled him. That's what pulls me. That's what pulls hundreds of other men inside of this game. Operating by the truth. The truth, it will never be the most popular conversation. But in this space, in this place, it will be the only fucking conversation. Warrior standards will never bend to please and to lie to become fucking popular. That's not what we fucking sign up for. So, you're not the only military guy coming into this game. We have a couple of other guys that have felt the calling, and we have hundreds of our military men inside of our experiences in the Brotherhood that are doing good, man. They're doing good for their families. They're finding a structure and a system inside of the Warriors Way that resonates with them. This whole instructional, following instructions inside of a space created by themselves and the Brotherhood to execute and become better every single day. That's what Warrior is. Warrior unifies family, unified your family.
Yeah.
And among that, it unified us. And we started a project, you and I. And the project is called The Child of War. And we're officially announcing it in this podcast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this project, what it is, its meaning, and how it's going to grow?
Yeah, I mean, so The Child of War really talks about the innocence of a child, right? Like, and right now we fight this war internally to get back to that child, you know? So, like, it's like when you think of a child, the child knows how to love unconditionally. The child knows how to be innocent, right? And the child is like from God. And so every day we forget and we can neglect that child because we say we have to be adult, we have to be a man, we have to be a woman, whatever it is, right? And the reality is that we learn from the children because children know no boundaries. Children are fucking ruthless, like straight up. Children's no relentless. Like they don't know how to relent. We teach them how to relent. So there's a certain type of actual, just primal part of just being a child. But in the same time, that there are children, though, that there are children out there who are wanting and who need to hear my voice, your voice, and understand that there's a bigger war out there, right? And so the name, kind of, we both have actually similar. It was like this moment when you told me about Child of War, and you said we are Child of War, and I was telling you about my experience with war, and I was a child going into war, and I held this child in my hand. And the most significant part of war was holding this child and just trying to resuscitate him and he was gone, right? But when you see a child, it's like, man, he's fucking innocent. How could this happen? And it really messed me up. I didn't know how to deal with that after. Like, it's just like, what is going on here? And then with your experience, you being a child of war yourself.
Yeah, I grew up in a country of war. I grew up in a country when children were asked to go in the front line, and I've seen the dead children. I've seen the so-called martyrs at that time because that's how they would label them. The truth is they're innocent, and number of boys that I've seen between the ages of 7, 8 to all the way 11, 12, 13 that have died in the front line. This happened during the war between Iraq and Iran, and I happen to be one of those childs in there. I am not in that environment anymore. I'm sitting here. My dad made some sacrifices where we escaped, and so we happen to be here. I'm 42, but I don't like to go back to that age, but that is an age of sufferance, and I've seen it, and so many innocent child have died. And when we talked about this child of war, we said we will honor the child, right? Not the child that only passed away, but the child within us as well.
Yeah.
The child that fights, the innocent child in all of us, in you that are listening. And so we came up with the Child of War project, and we started like just building these T-shirts, and it's just gonna get bigger, man.
Yeah.
There's gonna be T-shirt, there's gonna be a website around it, and there's gonna be some other activities around it. This is just the beginning. But then we came up with the slogan around. So you made a design. The Child of War T-shirt has this grenade, and it kind of has a heart around it.
Yeah.
And in the back, we wrote something that represents the child in us and what we do and why we do it and why those that are called to do this, not only here at Warrior, but in any place where a man is acting like an instrument, whether it's in church, whether it's in the military, whether it's in the government, in the police force, in any true service-driven environment and organization. Mm-hmm. Wherever you're fucking serving, man, and if you're serving from the heart, we came up with this line that was...
It goes, in the front line, we are all instruments of God.
In the front line, we're all instruments of God. And you take that concept and you apply it to any service field. You take it and you bring it to the nurse. That is the fucking front line. You bring it to the surgeons. You bring it to the guys that are actually in the field in telecom communication, and they're actually working in the field, and they're connecting the wires. The guy has to fucking pull up the pole and go all the way up. That's the fucking front line, motherfucker. And he's doing something that has an impact.
Yes.
He's connecting families. Because of him, now you can call your brother. Now you can call your son. Now you can FaceTime your wife. Everybody plays a fucking role inside of this. Everybody. So as long as you see yourself as this instrument, because if you don't, then you start devaluing the work that you do. And you start praising those that have just money. You start praising those that are just popular. You start praising the people that are trying to blindfold fucking motivate you. What better motivation than knowing that you're an instrument of God and that you enable a piece of this fucking puzzle?
Yeah.
What fucking better motivation than that? Like this is the words of God. Child, you're my instrument. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, I want to be a child, and fuck yeah, I want to be an instrument. Because I know I can fucking create an impact. If I believe I'm an instrument, I know I will have a fucking impact. If I don't, then I won't.
Exactly.
So, you give me final words as we bring this to closure. I just want to show this to the audience. Where's the fucking camera? Okay. You gave me this tonight. And so 2 questions for you. What does this mean? And why did you give it to me?
That is 1st Infantry Division. So there's a couple of reasons why, I gave you that one. That one was the last unit I was at. So I came into it at the highest rank I left in the military. But it was a great experience for me, going there. A lot that I had learned. They're called infantry, 1st Infantry Division, but they're known for mechanized infantry. Like, they did a lot of huge and big shit, historically in World War II, part of the big reason why we won World War II and everything. But 1st Infantry Division is mechanized infantry, meaning they are the tanks, right? Tanks. And they are known as King of Battle. The King of Battle handles the big shit, right? Then you have the foot soldiers, who are the infantry, and they're called Queen of Battle because they can go through the nooks and crannies, the smaller details. But over here, it requires power. It requires the King of Battle to be able to get those things done. The King of Battle, 1st Infantry.
Beautiful. Lots of meaning behind it. And one that we're going to take into what we do in 2019 and continue to serve more men coming into Warrior Week. Warrior Week in 2019, there is 15 Warrior Week scheduled. There will be more Warrior Weeks as we have more men like Isaiah coming in and leading these events with their heart. And so if this is something that calls your heart, you can continue to listen to these podcasts. Or you can go to warriorweek.com, apply to be one of the candidates to come to Warrior Week and experience what Isaiah has experienced, experience what I have experienced, and so many other men that we bring in every single week inside of this conversation, and share their stories with you. This is the parables from the pit. The stories that are told here are real, raw, and they're often painful. But inside of that rises a power that is uncommon, a power and a fuel that drives the fury of a man to build life, not to just live life. Building a life is very different from living life. If you are married right now and you feel like you're living with your wife, there's a version of you that can actually build that wife and that kids and that family and build together with them in the next 30, 40 years. And maybe you'll find it. Maybe you'll find it inside of what you do, inside of your church, inside of the organization you're part of, inside of the conversations with the people that you're surrounded. And maybe you don't. And if you don't, there's a place here. There's a place here for you to guide you and to help you to get the revelations and the manifestation that God exists, because you are the evidence of that. Isaiah, I want to thank you for being here with us in this conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
You'll be back more. We'll continue on the Child of War projects. I have big ideas around that, and we're going to use this fucking podcast to actually showcase multiple stories, untold stories of dead children that fought for something, buried, that fought for something but is unspoken. And we're going to talk about that because that's what we do here. Gentlemen, have yourself a fantastic week. Thanks for being with us. And if you want to hear more about this, warriorweek.com, warriorweeknow.com, and Warrior Week Podcast on iTunes and iPad is the place to go. Have yourself a fantastic week.